If you have a question for Tyler, feel free to raise your hand within the Zoom platform or send me a chat. I'll be sure to monitor that area as well. To kick us off, we're going to start with Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Tyler, you raced a little bit at COTA, and I'm not sure exactly what type of car back in December, but I'm curious if there was anything about that track that you're like, whoa, this is really different than any other road course I've experienced.
I wouldn't say there's one thing in particular, Bob, that's like, wow, I haven't experienced that before. Maybe aside from how they're, after you exit turn 9 and you're going into 10, you have a very important and slightly downhill hairpin right ahead of you. And you can't afford to underdrive it. You can't obviously afford to blow through it. And then right after you get done doing that, one of the most important acceleration zones is after that hairpin. And then you pretty much follow it up with yet again another very critical high speed, really important braking zone into 12. So I don't say we have a lot of tracks that I've ever experienced or I've ran in NASCAR that have two corners that are kind of back to back exactly like that. I think maybe at Road America, you have turn 1 is that high speed right-hander. You have that little short shoot, if you will, into 2, and then you haul the middle back down into turn 5. I think I can't remember the name or the nickname for that corner, but that's the only place that's somewhat like that I've experienced. But this track just for me has a little bit of everything from other road courses I've been to and experienced, and just where it's at, the amount of runoff that we do have. I was really excited about the big turtles that we're putting in. I think we'll still be able to, if you can get over the turtles without destroying your race car, there's still a lot of track you can use to save it and get back going. But those turtles are definitely going to tear some stuff up. But a lot of room for error if you do make a mistake. I think that'll promote drivers to be aggressive and race hard with all the runoff that this track does have.
Do you see how many passing areas are there?
I'd say the passing zones, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I've never won a road course race or ran very well on them besides the Clash at the beginning of the year. But I think you have some options when you go into this race. You can kind of pick and choose between where you can make your car stronger. But it's tough because you really want to be fast if you have the track position through the S's. That's a very important part of the lap. And if you nail that right, it's going to be a great lap. You miss it, you're going to have a terrible lap. So you want a car that can get through the S's good, but it's really hard to pass going through that section of the racetrack. The easier places to pass are the heavy braking zones, obviously, and some of the slower areas on the other side, the backside of the track by the carousel and that stadium section. So I think drivers will be debating, with their crew chiefs and themselves, like, what do we do here? Do we try and be pretty good everywhere? Are we going to give up some in the areas where it's hard to pass and try and push to have a better car that can attack and pass in those areas where I think you'll see more of that action?
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Bob.
Our next question will come from Claire B. Lane. Go ahead, Claire.
Thank you. Tyler, as a young driver, what are the really hard parts of Dover for you? And you're an aggressive driver, right? So we got the high banks that can suck you in if an accident happens or somebody pushes you the wrong way. What's the tough part about Dover for you?
Wouldn't say there's like something that makes Dover, I guess, tough, or I don't know, that there is things that really separate it from the others. But to me, those features are things that weren't, I guess, new to me, coming from like dirt racing and seeing a lot of different tracks. That sensation that you have driving off of the banking down into the corner is a lot more than a lot of the tracks that we do go to. But I mean, I race a lot of different tracks, a lot of different places. So that those sensations that you have at Dover don't really, I don't know, they never really jumped out at me when I first went there. But obviously probably the biggest one is I feel like you have to be aggressive to make some good lap time here. But you can burn your tires up. But at the same time, if you do make that mistake off of turn 2 or turn 4, can overcorrect it or bounce off the fence. It's very easy once you've lost control to find yourself spun around backwards or heading towards the inside wall. And there's no room for error here. It's not like a Daytona, Talladega, or Kansas, or any of those tracks where you have all this room to save the race car and get your day going back in a better direction. You bounce off that inside wall, and more times than not, that'll end your day.
I'm not being smart at all here, but if it didn't strike you because of your background like it did others, you know, sometimes at that track, then you should have an advantage at Dover, right? Because of your background. Do you feel like you have that advantage?
There's definitely been times when I feel like when I've had cars that drive really good there, I've been able to really, I guess, lean on my past dirt racing experience, or maybe just the way I like to attack and drive a corner that is not very straightforward in the asphalt or, you know, the concrete paved NASCAR racing world. And definitely when I won the truck race there years and years ago now with Doug Randolph and BKR, my approach to getting around the corner was a good bit different than what I think the normal approach was there at the time that I had before that race got going, and I found that. So I think for me, if I can find that feel even in a cup car and make it work to get around the bottom and stay low and in the cleanest air hopefully possible throughout the race, I think that's the right direction even with this car. But yeah, other than that, I think you just got to know when to push and when to hold back a little bit and save some tire and not burn your stuff up.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. Good luck. Okay. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Claire.
All right, we'll take our next question from Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Thanks, Amanda. Hey, Tyler. Thanks for the time, man. Hope you're well. You following up on that question, you won at Dover in a truck in 2015. So I'm kind of curious, what are the main keys when it comes to a driver at Dover in order to get to victory lane?
I'd say, I mean, it's not, I guess, and maybe not necessarily the answer you were hoping for, but I mean, first and foremost, it's a mistake-free day. I think that you can apply that to about anywhere. But you really got to be able to put the whole race together. It's very difficult to go out there and pass a bunch of cars at the beginning of a run, because the bottom is just the place to be for a very long time into the tire run. So you've got to be smart and make the right adjustments on your car, but you can't, it's tough. If you are spending the first half of the race trying to get your car right, you're not really giving your team or your pit crew an opportunity to bust out a fast stop and try and pass cars on pit road. So you're putting yourself behind every stop, and it can compound really quick, and you can have a car that has speed, but once everybody else had a chance to work on their stuff too, you know, it's kind of hard to get from 20th to the lead. So you just got to get a little bit every single time as you can. And that means staying on top of the car, but not losing a lot of track position on pit road. So, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. If you can be in the top 5 or, you know, have a front row on the last restart, you can hopefully have some clean air and help manage your front tires. So if you do get a long run, then it falls in the driver's hand. You can move around, get creative with your line, and hopefully, you know, start creating that lap time that you need to go catch the leader or maintain that lead.
Wanted to ask you as well, you drove the next gen car last month in that Goodyear tire test. What were the positive takeaways you had from it?
Oh man, how much time do you got? I mean, it was an absolute blast to drive. It had a lot of mechanical grip in it, and really could feel that on the sticker tires. We went through a lot of tire combinations, but the one I liked the most was having trouble keeping up with just how aggressive and abrasive Darlington is. I mean, even for the tire that we raced Sunday there, you know, if you would have shown up today after it got done raining and gone out there, that tire's not going to make it but 8-9 laps. It just really lays down a lot of rubber, and that means that when you go out there on a clean track, it's going to eat your tires up. So, but what I enjoyed about that next gen car is, like I said, the side force is not there like the current car. So you're still driving it extremely hard, but you don't have near the assist that you do with our current car. Even the low downforce package that we ran at Darlington Sunday, you don't have the side force there to catch you when you overstep the limit of the rear tires. and it makes it very, very challenging. And the car is not very forgiving, like what we have right now. You overstep it, you're going to pay that penalty in the tire, and potentially pay that penalty in the cost of a race car. And that's what makes it fun to drive. It's challenging, and we saw a lot of fall off in the Goodyear tires, more so than what we even had this weekend with the Xfinity package or the Cup package. It had even more fall off. It was very fun to drive, but very challenging, and I think that's the direction we need to take it. I'd like to see that.
Thank you, Tyler. Good luck this weekend, and hopefully the Zoom internet issues get fixed. So far, so good, though.
Yeah, right. No kidding. So far, so good.
All right, we're going to try to squeeze in one more question before we move to our next availability, and we're going to go to Anton. Anton, go ahead with your question for Tyler.
I think you're muted, Anton.
Anton, can you hear us?
Doesn't say he's muted, but I can't hear him.
All right, let's go to Ashley McCubbin. Ashley, you go ahead.
Hey Tyler, thanks for your time today. As we approach
problem.
I'm
here. Sorry.
It's okay, no problem. No worries. As we approach the halfway point of the regular season, what has surprised you the most this season?
Ooh, well, I don't know. I try to prepare the best I can for the year that we have ahead. When we're in the off season, and so far, I mean, what I've seen out of our competition hasn't really been a surprise. I really think the guys that you have seen win are all very capable of doing that. So from that aspect, I guess I haven't been too surprised. Our biggest surprise for our team personally was just getting off to a bad start and not getting any stage points, I believe, until we got to Kansas 2 weeks ago. So we just got off to a bad start. But other than that, what I've seen out of our competition has been what I expected. You always know when you go to the 500, you have a chance of somebody that shouldn't necessarily be competing up front and battling for wins all year, winning that race. So you always keep that in the back of your mind before your year ever starts, that these Speedway races are always very interesting and can play out a million ways.
When we look at the first half of your season so far this year, finishes probably weren't the way you wanted them to be, but it seems the second half you kind of started to turn things around. What's been the biggest difference?
I'd say the biggest difference is just being just staying in the race, not necessarily mentally, but just still allowing ourselves to have a shot and rebound. We unfortunately didn't get off to a good start, so we're starting back in 30th or worse at some of these races, and it wasn't really allowing us a chance to score stage points. It was a grind at a lot of these races just to get to 15th, and then we'd have something happen and then it set us all the way back. So we just did a better job of taking some of those things out. And then on top of that, when we have things do go wrong, we're doing a better job right now of bouncing back from that and getting at least a 10th or a 12th out of it. And that's helped our point situation a lot. But definitely when you get on a good roll and you finish top 10, you're starting around 10th, 11th, 12th. And all of a sudden stage points become a lot more realistic in stage 1 and stage 2, where before in our races, they're pretty much out the window. It was going to be very difficult to get there.
Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
All right, Tyler, thank you so much again for joining us. And this was probably the best one we've had as far as connections. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction at least.
It's a step in the right direction. So thanks for hanging with us, and we wish you the best of luck
Absolutely.
this weekend in Dover.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the time.